Picture this. There's a cheap, tough cut of beef in your fridge that most people would ruin, and by Sunday, a nonna turns it into meat that falls apart before the fork even touches it, with no watching and no fuss. The secret is one pot you already own. Today, we're counting down 31 Italian slow cooker secrets every Sunday dinner deserves, and number 1 makes a tomato sauce so thick a spoon stands straight up in it. Stay for it. Let's get into it. Number 31. Always sear the meat before it goes in. People dump raw beef straight into the slow cooker and wonder why the flavor is flat. A nonna would never. She browned the meat hard in a hot pan first, on every side, until it was deeply colored. That brown crust is the Maillard reaction. Hundreds of new flavor compounds that raw, gently stewed meat can never develop. It takes 5 minutes, and it is the single biggest difference between a gray, boiled-tasting dinner and a rich, roasted one. Get the pan smoking hot, sear it in batches so it colors instead of steams. Then it goes in the pot. And the next one is the mistake that makes everything watery. Number 30. Use far less liquid than the recipe tells you. This is the one that catches everybody. A slow cooker has a tight lid and barely any evaporation, so all the juice from the meat and vegetables stays in the pot. And if you add a full stovetop amount of stock or sauce on top, you end up with soup. A nonna used maybe half of what a normal recipe called for. The meat and the tomatoes will release plenty on their own. For a big Sunday roast in sauce, she'd barely cover the bottom. If bringing back the old Italian ways sounds good to you, subscribe. We're bringing back the tricks Nonna never wrote down, and the next one is about what goes in first. Number 29. Put the root vegetables on the bottom. It feels backwards because the meat is the star, so people lay it on the bottom and pile the vegetables on top. But carrots, potatoes, and onions are dense and slow to cook, and the bottom of the pot, right against the heating element, is the hottest part. A nonna packed the hard vegetables underneath and rested the meat on top of them. Everything finishes at the same time, instead of you biting into a raw carrot next to meat that's already falling apart. The order in the pot is a recipe of its own, and the next one saves all the flavor most people pour down the drain. Number 28. Deglaze the searing pan and pour it in. After you've browned the meat, the bottom of that pan is covered in dark, stuck-on brown bits, and most people scrub them straight into the sink. That is pure flavor. A nonna poured a splash of wine, stock, or even water into the hot pan, scraped all those bits loose with a wooden spoon as it bubbled, and tipped the whole lot into the slow cooker. Nothing that carries flavor ever went to waste in her kitchen. It's 30 seconds of work for a deeper, darker sauce, and the next one gives your sauce a backbone. Number 27. Caramelize the tomato paste first. Squeezing raw tomato paste into the pot leaves a thin, slightly tinny, raw tomato taste. A nonna fried her tomato paste for a minute or two in the hot pan first, until it darkened from bright red to a deep brick color and smelled sweet. That cooking down concentrates the sugars and knocks out the raw edge, and it gives the whole sauce a rich, almost meaty depth underneath. A spoonful of paste, browned in the pan you just seared in, then scraped into the pot. And the next one is the rule you must not break. Number 26. Stop lifting the lid to peek. Every time curiosity gets the better of you and you lift that lid, you let out a cloud of heat and steam, and a slow cooker can take 20 to 30 minutes to climb back to temperature. Peek 3 or 4 times over a Sunday, and you've added an hour or more and pushed dinner back. A nonna said it and trusted it. If you can see steam escaping the edge and hear it gently bubbling, it's working. Hands off the lid until the very end. And the next one is about the herbs. Number 25. Dried herbs at the start, fresh herbs at the end. People throw a handful of fresh basil in at the beginning, and hours later it's a sad, black, flavorless mush. A nonna knew the difference. Hardy dried herbs, oregano, dried rosemary, bay, go in early because they need those long hours to soften and release into the sauce. But delicate fresh herbs like basil and parsley go in during the last few minutes, off the heat, so they stay bright, green, and fragrant. Right herb, right time. And the next one is the free trick that adds years of flavor. Number 24, drop in a Parmesan rind. Never ever throw away the hard rind at the end of a wedge of Parmesan. A nonna kept everyone and dropped a rind straight into the sauce at the start of the day. Over hours of gentle heat, it slowly softens and melts out, releasing a deep, savory, salty richness, that umami background that makes people ask what your secret is. Fish out whatever's left before serving. It costs nothing. It uses something you were about to bin, and it does what an expensive stock cube only pretends to. Subscribe and cook Sunday dinner along with us, and the next one is the meatball secret. Number 23. Simmer the meatballs in the sauce all day. Fried meatballs eaten straight from the pan are good, but meatballs finished in the sauce over hours are something else. A nonna browned them first for color, then lowered them into the sauce to cook slowly for the rest of the afternoon. They stay impossibly tender because they're gently poaching, not frying, and they drink in the tomato and give back their own meaty flavor, so the sauce and the meatballs end up tasting of each other, low and slow, together. And the next one is Sunday dinner itself, rolled up. Number 22. Cook your braciole low and all day. Braciole, thin beef rolled around garlic, parsley, cheese, and breadcrumbs, is a tough, lean cut that turns to rubber if you rush it. A nonna seared the rolls, then laid them in the sauce and left them for 6 or 7 hours on low. The long, gentle heat breaks the tight beef down until you can cut it with the side of a fork, and the filling melts into the sauce around it. It is the definition of a dish you start in the morning and forget until the house smells like Sunday. And the next one keeps it safe. Number 21. Fill it between half and 2/3 full. This one is about safety as much as flavor, and most people never hear it. A slow cooker is designed to work when it's filled between a half and 2/3 of the way up. Much emptier and the food scorches and cooks unevenly. Much fuller and the center may never get properly hot, which is genuinely unsafe over a long cook. A nonna's pot was always comfortably full but never crammed to the lid. Match the size of the pot to the size of the meal, and the next one is the trick you clicked for. Number 20, the cheap, tough cut that falls apart on its own. This is the one on the thumbnail, and here it is. The cheapest cuts in the shop, chuck, beef short rib, shin, pork shoulder, are the toughest because they're full of hard connective tissue, and most people avoid them. A nonna reached for them on purpose. That tough connective tissue is collagen, and over many hours of low, gentle heat, it slowly melts into soft, silky gelatin, the exact thing that makes the meat fall into tender strands and makes the sauce glossy and rich. Sear a chuck roast, set it in the sauce on low for 8 hours, and don't touch it. By dinner, it collapses when the fork gets near it, and it costs you a fraction of a good steak. Long, low, and patient turns the worst cut in the shop into the best dinner on the table. And the next one needs no liquid at all. Number 19, a whole chicken with nothing added. It sounds impossible, but you do not need to add any liquid to slow cook a whole chicken. A nonna sat the seasoned bird straight into the dry pot, sometimes on a few crumpled balls of foil to keep it off the bottom, and let it go. The chicken releases its own juices as it cooks, and it gently steams and braises in them, coming out so tender the legs fall away, and leaving you a cup of rich golden broth in the bottom for free. Cook it until it's fully done all the way through, and you have 2 meals from one bird. And the next one is the safety rule that matters most. Number 18. Always thaw the meat completely first. This is important, so listen. Putting frozen or partly frozen meat into a slow cooker is genuinely risky because the pot heats slowly, and frozen meat sits for hours in the temperature range where bacteria thrive before it ever gets hot enough to be safe. A nonna always started with meat fully thawed in the fridge, never straight from the freezer. And a nonna knew 100 rules like this by heart. The cuts, the timings, the Sunday gravy, what's safe and what isn't. And I gathered every one of them into Nonna's Handbook, with the pantry and home secrets too. The link is in the description below. Now number 17, and it's a Sunday classic. Number 17, sausage and peppers, low and slow. On the stovetop, sausage and peppers is a quick, sometimes greasy dish. In the slow cooker, it becomes something deeper. A nonna browned the Italian sausages for color, then laid them over a bed of sliced peppers and onions with a little tomato, and let the whole thing cook down for hours. The peppers go meltingly soft and sweet, the onions almost jammy, and the sausage stays juicy while giving all its flavor to the vegetables around it. Pile it onto a crusty roll with those soft peppers spooned over the top, and it's a whole Sunday lunch on its own. It practically cooks itself while you're at church, and the next one breaks the meat down even faster. Number 16, add a splash of acid. If you want a tough cut to surrender even faster, a nonna reached for something sharp, a splash of red wine, a spoon of vinegar, or simply plenty of tomato, which is acidic itself. The acid gently helps break down the tough fibers and connective tissue as everything cooks, tenderizing from the inside. It also brightens a long-cooked sauce that can otherwise taste flat and heavy. A good splash of red wine into a beef ragout does both jobs at once. Sharp helps soft, and the next one saves your sauce from splitting. Number 15, add the dairy at the very end. Stir cream, milk, butter, or cheese into a sauce at the start of a long cook, and you'll come back to a curdled, grainy, separated mess. A nonna added anything dairy right at the end in the last few minutes, off the strongest heat. A swirl of cream into a tomato sauce, a handful of grated parmesan, a knob of butter for shine, all stirred in just before serving so they melt in smoothly instead of splitting over hours. Dairy is a finish, never a foundation. And the next one is the seasoning mistake almost everyone makes. Number 14, salt at the end, not the start. Because a slow cooker barely evaporates and cooks for so long, flavors concentrate as the hours pass, and salt concentrates with them. Season heavily at the start, and by dinner the whole pot can taste harsh and oversalted with no way back. A nonna added just a little salt early, then tasted and adjusted right at the end once the sauce had reduced to its final strength. Taste, then salt when it's nearly done. And the next one is about choosing your setting. Number 13, know when to use low and when to use high. The two settings are not just fast and slow. A nonna used low for 8 hours or more. For the tough, collagen-rich cuts that need time to melt tender, that's where the magic happens. High is for when you're short on time or for leaner things and vegetables that don't need that long breakdown. The rules she'd give you: if it's a cheap, tough cut you want falling apart, always low and always long. Rushing tough meat on high just makes it tough and dry. And the next one feeds you all week. Number 12, cook a giant batch and freeze it in portions. A slow cooker is the same effort whether you fill it small or full, so a nonna filled it. She'd make an enormous pot of ragu or Sunday gravy, feed the family that night, and freeze the rest in meal-sized containers. Weeks later, a proper homemade Italian dinner is 10 minutes from the freezer to the table for pennies a portion. One afternoon of no real work becomes a month of good dinners, and the next one is a whole dish most people never try in it. Number 11, osso buco, the patient way. Osso buco, veal or beef shanks with the marrow bone in the center, is one of the great slow Italian dishes, and it is made for this pot. A nonna browned the shanks, set them in wine, tomato, and soffritto, and left them for hours until the meat pulled away from the bone and the marrow turned to silk in the center. It's a restaurant dish that costs very little and needs almost no skill here, just time. A quick gremolata of lemon zest, garlic and parsley, scattered over the top right at the end, cuts through all that richness and wakes the whole dish up. Serve it over polenta, and no one will believe you made it in a slow cooker. And the next one is that polenta. Number 10, polenta with no stirring. Traditional polenta means standing over a pot stirring for 40 minutes, so it doesn't catch and burn. A nonna's slow cooker did the stirring for her. Because the heat is so gentle and even, you can whisk the cornmeal and water or stock together, put the lid on, and let it cook slowly, giving it a stir only now and then. It comes out creamy and smooth with none of the arm work and no risk of scorching. Set it going before the osso buco is done and dinner assembles itself. And the next one does the same for risotto. Number 9, risotto without the endless stirring. Real risotto is famous for demanding constant stirring and ladle after ladle of stock. A nonna could get most of the way there with far less fuss in the slow cooker. The gentle, even heat cooks the rice slowly and evenly without the constant attention, so you stir it a couple of times instead of 20 minutes straight, then beat in the cheese and butter at the end for that creamy finish. Not quite a restaurant risotto, but a weeknight one with none of the standing over the stove. And the next one turns scraps into gold. Number 8, cook your dried beans, but boil the kidney beans first. Dried beans cook beautifully slow and cheap, but there is one hard safety rule a nonna respected. Raw red kidney beans contain a natural toxin, and a slow cooker on its own does not always get hot enough to destroy it. So kidney beans must be boiled hard on the stove for 10 minutes first, and only then go into the slow cooker to finish. 10 full minutes at a hard rolling boil is what it takes to destroy that toxin. Then drain them and let them finish gently in the pot for the rest of the day. Other beans are more forgiving, but with kidney beans boil first, always. Safe and cheap in that order. And the next one is pure waste nothing wisdom. Number 7, make brodo from the bones and scraps overnight. Nothing was ever thrown away in a nonna's kitchen. The chicken carcass, the beef bones, the onion skins, the carrot ends, the celery tops, and that parmesan rind all went into the slow cooker with water and cooked on low overnight while she slept. By morning she had a deep, golden, rich brodo, homemade stock that would have cost a fortune in a shop, made entirely from things most people bin. Strain it and freeze it for the next sauce or soup. A nonna kept a bag in the freezer all week, adding every onion skin and bone and rind to it. And when it was full, the brodo practically made itself overnight. Rubbish in one end, liquid gold out the other, and the next one keeps Sunday dinner warm for the whole table. Number 6. Use it to hold dinner warm, safely. Sunday dinner never all lands at once. People arrive late. The pasta runs behind. A nonna used the slow cooker's warm setting to hold the sauce or the meat at a safe, steady temperature until everyone was at the table without it drying out or overcooking. The key is the warm setting, which keeps food hot and safe to eat, not switched off, where it would slowly drift down into the unsafe zone. Keep it hot or refrigerate it. Never leave it sitting lukewarm for hours. And the next one is a big Sunday roast. Number 5, a whole pork shoulder pulled. Pork shoulder is fatty, tough, cheap, and absolutely perfect for this. A nonna rubbed it with garlic, fennel, and herbs, the flavors of a porchetta, seared it, and set it on low for the whole day. By evening, the fat has rendered soft, and the meat pulls into juicy shreds with 2 forks, ready for sandwiches, pasta, or straight onto the plate. One cheap joint feeds a crowd and then some, and the leftovers only get better. Shredded into a pan of tomato sauce, that same pork becomes a rich ragu for the pasta the very next day. And the next one is about getting the sauce just right. Number 4, keep the pasta out of the pot. Here's where people go wrong trying to make it a one-pot meal. They tip dry pasta into the slow cooker early, and hours later, it's a bloated, gluey mush. A nonna cooked her pasta separately in salted boiling water, the proper way, and only married it with the slow-cooked sauce at the very end. If you truly want it in the pot, dry pasta goes in only for the final 20 to 30 minutes, no sooner. The sauce is the slow cooker's job. The pasta is the stove's. And the next one thickens a thin sauce in minutes. Number 3, thicken a thin sauce with a spoon of cornstarch. Sometimes, even with less liquid, a sauce comes out thinner than you'd like. A nonna's quick fix was a slurry, a spoonful of cornstarch or flour stirred smooth into a little cold water, then stirred into the pot and left on high for the last 15 or 20 minutes. It tightens a watery sauce into something glossy that clings to the meat and the pasta with no lumps. A small, cheap rescue for any sauce that needs body. And the next one tastes better than the stovetop ever could. Number 2, the sauce that can't burn. On the stovetop, a long-simmered sugo has to be watched and stirred so the bottom doesn't scorch and turn the whole pot bitter. In the slow cooker, that simply cannot happen. A nonna let her Sunday gravy cook gently all day with no stirring and no risk of catching. And because nothing ever burned, the flavor came out cleaner, sweeter, and deeper than the same sauce fought over on the stove. The bottom of the pot stays as clean as the top, and all of that slow, even heat goes into building flavor instead of scorching it. You genuinely get a better result by walking away. And now, number 1, the secret that makes people stare at your sauce. Number 1, crack the lid in the last hour and watch a spoon stand up in it. This is the finish that turns a good sauce into a showpiece. Because a slow cooker traps all its steam, sauces can end up looser than you want. So for the final hour, a nonna propped the lid slightly open, resting it on the handle of a wooden spoon to leave a gap. Suddenly, the trapped steam can escape. The sauce begins to evaporate and reduce, and it thickens down into something deep, dark, and glossy that coats the back of a spoon and clings to every strand of pasta. Do it long enough, and the sauce gets so thick and rich that a spoon left standing in the pot stays standing straight up on its own. No cornstarch, no cream, nothing added. Just steam let out at the right moment, turning a thin, watery pot into a sauce that looks like it came from a restaurant kitchen. It is the simplest trick in the whole video and the one that makes people ask how you did it. So there they are, 31 Italian slow cooker secrets for a Sunday dinner worth waiting for. When you lay them all out, the lesson underneath is the one our nonna lived by. Good food was never about money or fuss. It was about time and knowing how to use it. The cheapest, toughest cut in the shop, left alone in one pot with a little patience, comes back to the table as something a restaurant would charge for, and you barely lifted a finger. That's the whole art of the Italian kitchen, and the pan you sear that meat in before it ever hits the pot. Everything about cast iron, how to season it, rescue it, and the mistakes that ruin it, is in the video on your screen right now. Go watch that one next. Subscribe, and let's keep bringing back the tricks the world was starting to forget.